When I think about sales enablement, I think about there's 4 pillars to sales enablement for me. The first one is alignment. Did everybody get the memo? The second one has to do with the assets. Is everything we have, is that all on message? And I'm going to go into more of these in detail. Third is the content. Are we getting it when we need it? And the fourth has to do with tribal knowledge. So let's talk about each of these in turn. So let's talk about alignment first. So what does alignment mean? Well, as AJ said, when we came in, I could walk around the company and I could tap people on the shoulder and say, what does RingCentral do? And I would get answers like, we sell phones. We have this widget. We have this, they were talking about, we're RingCentral. What they weren't talking about is, what do we do? What is our why? Why do we do what we do? And that's where things started to change. And once we got that messaging, the value statements, those mission statements out there, does everybody know them? Is everybody saying them? So now you can walk around the company and say, what does RingCentral do? We connect, we collaborate, and we communicate. And we help our customers do that. That's what we do, right? So it's a different message. So that's the first one, is alignment. You got to make sure that whatever you're saying is also on the website. So we've got a whole new team that has come in our marketing department to update the website to make sure it's all on message as well. And lastly, you have to reinforce this in everything you do. And when we start, even with our sales onboarding, we reinforce this message over and over and over again. So that's the alignment. Secondly is the assets. When I came in, I was trying to find out where everything is, right? What are the salespeople using? It was everywhere. All of our competitive information was on the laptop of the analyst who was doing it. So nothing was available. So how were people getting it? They were sending emails. They were sending instant messages. They were, using the tool. But if you weren't actually online at that moment, you would miss it, and the same conversations would come up again and again and again. So it was, let's get the assets available. Let's make them available. So that means, do I go to marketing and say, okay, I want you to put all your stuff here? Because think about what marketing does and how most document management systems are set up. They're set up for deposit. So they're set up for the people that are creating the material. I've got marketing content, I've got this, I've got that, finance puts their stuff. But if you're a salesperson, you have no idea how to find this. So what do? So rather than me going to marketing and saying, hey, you have to follow my rules, I said, just tell me where it is and we'll figure out how to make it available. SalesHood did that, right? They helped us do that. So that was a big thing. Let's make it available. I'm going to talk more about what's actually in it in a little while, but everything has to, again, be on message. There has to be consistency. The assets have to be high quality, right? You can't have your reps going out with their own decks where it's different fonts and different look and feel and the copyright data is wrong. And there's, it's important that even these little things, the spelling is right, the grammar is right? It's not just all words. There's no images. People look and work differently. So you have to work with your people to make sure that you as a company and you as a rep are putting your best foot forward every time you're in front of a customer. Every single time. So that's critical. You have to make sure from an enablement standpoint that the ownership of the assets stays with the people who create them. Do not take ownership of the assets, because the moment you do, you are now responsible for them. So we have a great relationship with our marketing department, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But we have a great relationship with our marketing department because I worked with them on, you do this, and I will do that. And so because of that, our relationship is good, because if you look around at most companies, sales and marketing, they're always doing this, right? Your messaging is wrong. Well, you're not selling it right. Come together, right? You got to work together to get this done. So what I told the marketing department was, you hand me this brochure and you say, put this brochure in front of your salespeople. And we're like, okay, I can do that, but my salespeople don't know how to sell this brochure, right? So I told my marketing department, I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You have this brochure. You tell me why I can go in front of my salespeople and say what's in it for them. Why should they even care about it? And secondly, and most important, how is it going to help them get their customer to buy from them? The conversation is not how is it going to help them sell. The The conversation is, how is it going to help their customer buy from them? So what that means is, give me the brochure, but you also have to give me a piece of paper that says, oh, by the way, these are the kinds of open-ended questions, right? Selling through curiosity. These are the kinds of open-ended questions that you should have and the conversations you would have with your customer to earn the right to show them this. And they're like, oh, I get it. So what was the result? They got me the materials that were translated into the language of salespeople, and I gave them adoption, right? You go to a marketing department, and the numbers vary, but 70 to 80% of what most marketing departments create is never seen by sales. So we've changed that, and our marketing group is ecstatic because their stuff gets used. It's not a waste of time. So the content itself, it's got to align with the sales process and the methodology. Whatever you're doing, you've got to make sure that this content, A, is available at the right stage of the sales process, that it is the right level of content, right? When we're new and we get these new systems and sales head goes in and we've got all these supporting documents and we like, bleh, we dump it all on our salespeople. Well, yeah, we made it available to them, but they still don't know what they need to use. So you need to be able to set it up in such a fashion that they're saying, I'm in this stage of the sales process, help me figure out what I need without me having to go and look for it. Make it available. It's got to map to the buyer's journey. It's got to be just in time. Because salespeople, I know that there can be some contention between salespeople and sales enablement people and trainers and all that. It's, you hear the thing about, well, my training wasn't good enough, and then you hear the trainers go, well, sales, they're just lazy, they're not going to do it, right? How many people have been in that kind of, you can be honest, we've all done that. But I want to tell you one thing. We've got a great relationship with our salespeople. You know why? Because we respect them. We don't talk that way. Because these salespeople, they may not take our training. Doesn't mean the training's wrong, right? It means that they are so busy doing other things. So one of the things that I've taught my team, and one of the things that we talk about with our sales leadership all the time, is sales enablement is responsible to sales. Sales enablement is not responsible for sales. And there's a difference, right? We're responsible to create the material. We are not responsible to make sure that material is consumed. And I'm going to talk about that some more. One other lesson that we learned was that, again, as sales enablement, we're very supportive, right? We're very nurturing. We want to put all this stuff out there. If we just put it all out there, it's there, but they may not consume it properly. Or what you get is, they start going through back doors. How do I find this? How do I find that? How do I find this? Right? And I see heads going, oh, yeah. I get emails all the time, right? I've got my best buddy, and it's like, hey, I know, tell me. So what we've done is we've changed the way that we do training. So now the way we do training is, rather than give them all the fish, we teach them how to fish. So in our Sales Hood certifications and in our trainings, we do things like, okay, here's what you need to know. Here's where you go to find it. Go find it, and then come back and answer it and do your videos and do your things. Because what that does is, not only does it show them there is a ton of content out there, but it also shows them how to find it, because we're not always going to be available. They're going to be out on a customer site. They'll be in their office. They'll be, they have to know how to do that. And the content, as we've said a number of times, it must be in small consumable bites. Our marketing department, the very first video they gave us was 1 hour and 10 minutes long. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. And he said, why? And I told him a couple of reasons. There's number one, you've got everything in there, but there is nobody who's going to sit in this day and age and watch a video for 1 hour. The very next day, I had 10 7-minute videos. Boom, there they were. All of that stuff got consumed. People learned. They were able to go back in, and as expected, something changed, and all they had to do was go in and change that one piece, right? 7 minutes versus re-recording 1 hour. Well, last year, we worked very closely with Eli and his team because we wanted to figure out how are we going to put these things in place? So one of the things we did early on was working with our BDR, business development reps, and come up with a buyer persona playbook. And so to do that, we incorporated the pieces that you see here. So there was email, there was voicemail, there were personas, these things that we taught them. And then we had the practice and gamification. Right? It was done in a huddle, so we were able to bring the teams together and say, this is what you need in the way of email. In the way of voicemail, they actually practiced themselves on the phone. And we heard them. We did the recordings. And then the recordings that bubbled to the top are the ones that we made available as best practice. And that worked very, very well. And then what we did is we had daily check-ins. So as we were doing this training and as we were teaching them the new things, we checked in with them on a very regular basis. You've got to be in front of them all the time. Check in with them. What did you learn today? What happened today? Something new that you tried? Right? Saleshood, again, allows this type of reinforcement and reinforcement. And as with all things, it evolves. What you did last year isn't going to work this year. It's just not going to happen. So we just rolled out last week a whole new set of buyer personas. And so everything goes. And that's the other thing about Saleshood is that what you did last year, you can change very, very quickly and have things come again. So lastly, let me talk about tribal knowledge a little bit. So what is tribal knowledge? Well, tribal knowledge is the ability for people to share. It's the ability for folks in the field who typically are ignored or feel like they're left out to become visible, right? To see what's going on. It is figuring out what are the best things that people are doing, make sure they're proliferated throughout the company, figure out what's not working and stop it, right? Get it stopped as soon as you can. So identify what works quickly and proliferate it, find out what doesn't work even faster and stop doing it. Now, it's great because RingCentral is of a size that we're not that big that it's a battleship. We're still a PT cruiser, if anybody even knows what that is anymore. So we are a PT cruiser. We can still move fairly quickly. And again, Saleshood allows that. It was this ability to do the tribal knowledge that was a tipping point for me with Saleshood. I have been doing sales enablement, one form or another, as I said, since the Earth's been cooling. Right? It's been over 30 years. So I started when I was 7. So it's been a very long time. And in that time, I never could find something. You either had the really heavy stuff that was extremely expensive, or you had the new stuff that just didn't do what we needed it to do. I remember the day that I saw it. The CEO I was at said, there's this guy, Eli Cohen, that I know. He's got this new product. Would you take a look at it? And I remember sitting at my desk and bringing it up and looking at it for the first time and going, that is what I need. And it's what, where were you 20 years ago? Right? So, and it has changed everything. It's changed everything. It's changed the way enablement works. It's changed the way the successes and the productivities and things of the companies that I've been at. It helped me solidify what my pillars were. And so, I'm a big proponent of Saleshood in a big way because it really does the things that I need.